Our friendship is broken.
That's your problem, man.
I just don't know if you have the strength to overcome your own demons. I would love nothing more than say, yeah, we're back. You want that back too.
Come on, man. We're two Coreys.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
We're here. We're back. But it's one fucking season time. Mm-hmm. This is not one fucking hour because we're talking about a season of a show tonight, and we're going to get into exactly what that is. But first, welcome to the show. I'm Evan Husney, of course. To my left, let me introduce first, and then I'll get to our special guest over here. But to my left, we have Big T, Tom Fitzgerald. T, what's going on?
Pete Boot Edge.
I forgot about Pete Boot Edge. Oh my God, that's incredible. All right, but to my right, we have our special birthday boy. Right? Oh, Marcus, it's your birthday. Go, Marcus. It's your birthday.
Party like it's your birthday.
All right. Welcome back, Mr. Marcus Herring. It's time for the birthday app, right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone who hung on for so long. Thank you for all the guesses.
Yes.
Sorry it took so long. There was a bit, I kind of melted down and went through a few different versions of what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So,
Right. It was like
on the...
Yeah.
It was like in Holy Mountain when the guy is in the chamber.
Yeah, right. A conclave,
sweating.
Is what we said. Yeah.
No, he came out a different person when he made this decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, after a long deliberation, I think I decided on the exact wrong thing for our birthday episode.
That's right. That's right.
I love it.
Because that's the mission here. When it's your birthday on one fucking hour proper, you get, carte blanche to pick what you want. But it was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of suggestions. There was a lot of maybe some people got in your ears. There's a lot of guesses.
The tradition on this show is like, whoever it's your birthday gets to pick whatever you want. None of the other guys have any say in it whatsoever.
But there's some fine print.
Right.
But what was interesting is, we did put out a challenge, and because someone guessed Tom's last birthday pick, which was insane.
That was crazy.
And somebody who was a diehard listener of the show probably heard every
someone
episode.
who typed the worm eaters made $200.
Yeah, right.
The worm eaters.
Yeah, right.
Send
$200.
Yes. We're right. They guessed.
So we issued the same challenge for Marcus. However, this is something that I don't think people know, which we'll get into in the episode, is such a sacred part of your DNA structure. Right. So it's kind of, I don't think there would have been any way for anyone to guess this, but nobody did. Even if there was friends,
there
listening.
were great guesses.
Right.
Sweet movie. Right?
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of great guesses that came up that would have been potential episodes for you, and they helped you try to, or maybe didn't help you try to narrow down your choice. But we finally arrived at, let's not bury the lead. What are we doing tonight, Marcus? Explain.
Tonight we are doing, it's not one fucking hour, it's one fucking season on the two Coreys reality TV show season 2.
Yes, that's right.
Get that straight.
Yeah.
Not just the show.
Yeah.
It's the two Coreys.
Season 2. Oh,
right.
And you
get it right, guys.
Happy birthday. All right, especially. Okay.
Go Shorty. Please go Shorty.
Oh,
Marcus,
sorry.
Oh, not that.
One second.
That's
We have to go now. Okay? All right.
Perfect.
All right.
Anyway,
so that was little Corey over there.
Just a little bit of.
Corey.
That's right. Yeah, you named your kid Corey.
Right.
You got
His
it.
middle
bad,
name
dude.
is also Corey.
Yeah, you got it
Is that
bad,
true?
dude, with this Corey stuff.
No. Two Coreys.
100% true.
Okay. All right. So we're
Real
doing.
quick, if I can just do, or we could just do it like, what is this? It's a modification of the show, one fucking hour. Usually we do a feature film and only one, and we only spend an hour. This we decided, and there was a precedent. We did the Curse.
Yes, shout out.
So great, the one and done season.
Yes.
Nathan Fielder and the other people.
Benny Softy, yeah.
Right. And we had a great time. We love that show. We love the wavelength Nathan's on. We're probably going to be doing
The
rehearsal too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's what this is. Once in as well as your birthday, we get into an entire season for an hour and just chew it up and go crazy.
Yeah.
There'll be more coming in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
What this iteration of the show is.
That's right. So tonight for episode 137 of the show, we're doing one fucking season on the two COREYS season 2. So
get it straight.
Yeah.
Not one, but two.
So
now's the time to pause the show and go watch the season. And
all 10 episodes.
Which is only about 3 hours. It's 10 episodes. They're 20 minutes each. So it's not a huge undertaking. Very rewarding, very insane, very depressing, which we'll get into.
And it's online. People can check it out.
I think I watched it on either, just like Apple TV or Amazon or something. You can get it there. But yeah, what a roller coaster ride it is. And we're going to get into that. But if I can, just real quick, we won't take too much time out of this, but I do want to give a quick shout out to the One Fucking Hour Patreon. Patreon.com/one fucking hour is where you can sign up for just $5 a month, and it's the best way to support the show if you like what we're doing here. And that's where you can get access up on the Patreon to all of our bonus episodes, and you get 24-hour early access to all the episodes of the show, so you get to watch it before anybody else does. It's not some sort of sneak preview. It's the full fucking episode. You get a whole day before everybody else. But we have a new bonus episode up we've been plugging, and man, is it worth it. The feedback up there on this has been probably the all-timer best bonus episode so far.
White hot interest.
Yeah, there is white hot interest. We did a feature-length audio commentary watch-along, if you will, with the Bill Maher noir called Pizza Man from 1991, starring Bill Maher himself. And we watched that movie. Holy shit. Jaw on the floor, insanity around every corner on that film.
He beats up a woman.
Yes.
Like within inches of her life.
He kills Donald Trump.
With exploding sausage.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And so much more.
So if you want to watch us watch the movie, head over to patreon.com/one fucking hour. Or if you want to keep all your content on YouTube, just go to our channel homepage on YouTube, find the join button, click that, become a moment of the channel. Same price, same benefits, same perks. And we appreciate the support nonetheless. Thank you so much to everybody who signed up so far. We appreciate every single one of you. So shout out. All right. Are you ready to do this? Marcus, are you ready? Is it time?
I am. Thank you guys for watching this and doing this episode with me. So yeah, I'm ready.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, we did our research. We watched a lot of COREYS. Lots of COREYS for this.
It's a deep subject.
It is. It is very rich for sure. But let's get that clock going. Here it is. Everybody get locked and loaded because here we go. And all right. I'm going to read a synopsis for this. It's a little lengthier than normal, but I feel like it's pertinent here because a lot of people. We didn't announce that we're doing this episode. We're just dropping it into the ether. So,
like a Kanye album.
Yeah, right. So this is what this season in particular is all about. Okay, here you go. So the two COREYS. In the second and final season of the two COREYS, tensions reach a boiling point as Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, now this is a reality show, everybody, attempt to rebuild their fractured friendship while navigating the pressures of Hollywood, sobriety, and unresolved trauma. With cameras capturing every raw and unfiltered moment, the once iconic teen duo confronts their past, including the darker sides of fame, betrayal, and personal demons that haunted them since youth. Feldman, now focused on maintaining a more stable and structured life with his wife, struggles to manage Haim's unpredictable behavior, which includes drug relapses, emotional outbursts, and a desperate need for validation. Haim, on the other hand, fights to reclaim his career and identity, increasingly feeling alienated by Feldman's attempts to fix him. Their turbulent dynamic plays out in therapy sessions, career ventures, and deeply personal confrontations. Season 2 crescendos into a heartbreaking portrait of friendship strained to the breaking point, ultimately leaving viewers to question whether redemption or reconciliation are even possible, or if the damage from their shared past runs too deep. Raw, real, and often painful, The Two Coreys closes on a note that is as tragic as it is poignant. Wow, Marcus, what a birthday!
It's your birthday.
pick. It's your birthday. Go,
What were those
Marcus.
last words? What were the last words? Just let it ride.
Tragic as it is poignant. All right, so
There you go.
The celebration.
Birthday boy.
all right, birthday boy. So why did we pick The Two Coreys?
Well, I'm a huge fan of this season. I don't watch much reality shows, but this one is, to me, like the peak version of it. It really gets to something real, unexpected. It sneaks up on you that it gets to something real, you know?
Sure.
And, I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like this that shows someone, Haim is like just laid bare, his spiraling down, it's laid bare. And I've never seen something quite so honest represented, like in a document, in this sort of documentary reality,
In
TV
like a
show
docutainment sort of way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was a huge Corey's fan growing up. Like, I was not like one of the people that had posters on my walls or anything, but I was at that prime demographic. Lost Boys was one of my first tapes I ever had to listen to that. Of course, I'm like the Goonies age kid, so if I went through my house, I could dig up tons of Corey's stuff, Me, Myself, and I, soundtracks, VHS tapes, everything. But who's got time for all that? Anyway, I got it all. Here's prayer for the Roller Boys. Anyway, I was a big fan, but it sort of slipped away. I've got different periods of Corey fandom in my life, and this is the third period for me. There was the time when I was a child. Of course, everyone loves the Coreys. I always kind of gravitated more towards Feldman when I was younger.
Okay.
But I love them both. Don't get me wrong. And then when I saw Me, Myself, and I, which is Corey's Haim's documentary, from it kind of reignited my love for them.
It's like a kind of career rehab piece, right? Right.
Yeah, it's a total disaster too, actually, honestly, and it's worth seeking out. But it's like, after his big drug problems initially in like 89, his manager made him make a tape to like show the world like, hey, I'm back. I'm ready to work and I'm good, but it's like, he's not quite right. And he's sort of ad-libbing for the camera and stuff. And he delivers all these great classic lines and stuff. So it's
made to order to a puff piece to make him look good. Mm-hmm. And of course it includes some incredible music that he does, as he calls, he's coined a new music genre. He's into doing Japanese funk.
I'm into that Japanese funk.
That's right.
Yeah. Right. I've got so many lines from it stuck in my head where he's like, I like to slap on the old headphones and dibble dabble at the keyboard.
I'll slap the headphones on once in a while and dibble dabble at the keyboards.
It's like to be unkind. The beginning of for me being unkind here is like it feels a little bit like the in Boogie Nights.
Oh yes,
the documentary inside Boogie Nights.
Right,
that kind of thing, or even like a Mr. Show skit. Documentary.
Sure.
It looks like a satire of what it is, but it's reality.
It is fun, but it's the heart of it's very sad though, because it's just a young teenage kid who's like whacked out and spiraling out of control for like what we know now will be like the rest continuing pattern for the rest of his life. So this reality show. I'm not a reality TV person, but I just kind of got into. I was just on YouTube. Like, this is before he died. And before Haim died in like 2010, right? Yeah. It was on YouTube, and I just started having it in the background while I was working the season one. And I didn't even really like season one that much because it's sort of a traditional documentary fare, but I was sort of like, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. I skipped it. Anyway,
it's goofier.
But then season two came on. It's a complete tone shift, and I was just blown away, completely floored by it. The first season's like The Odd Couple, and it's like hokey music, and they move in together, and it's like, how are we going to get along? The Corey Feldman's married to his wife, and like how it's like a Three's a Crowd. It's basically
and it's probably a little bit more. It's seemingly more fabricated, more reality show, like let's fabricate these situations to put them in type thing. And this is more like, if I can, it felt at times, not all the way through, because there's a lot of the flourishes of those, mid 2000s reality show tropes all throughout it, which will the sort of, for lack of a better term, the distressed jeans sort of aesthetic that this has at times.
The Ed Hardy t-shirt era.
The Ed Hardy core that this has. But there's also moments, and especially towards the back half of the season, which we'll get into, that are real hardcore, gnarly guy slipping into heavy pill addiction. And it starts to feel a little bit like one of those HBO undercover docs from the late 80s.
Yeah,
so big tone
there's
shift.
no difference, essentially,
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed, and I defer to the birthday boy here, I had an observation. There's two different guys here, the two Coreys, and they're on a reality show. So like we're not just watching them, it's like there's a filter here. There's a third party that this is in the context of a reality show. But I was thinking, maybe I'm wrong. It's a little broadly stroked, but like I always feel like Feldman always is very aware there's a camera on him. Makes sense, right? That's very his MO. Like he's very aware, like they're shooting again. But I feel like Feldman, especially as the show goes on, he's completely forgetting that, like,
you mean Haim? Haim is
Haim.
Yeah.
Feldman, always aware of the camera. Yeah. Haim, I think, is just totally starting to lose any kind of context. Like, this is a show, and there's cameras, and there's editing.
I think it's part of Haim's sort of vibe to be a little more authentic, maybe a little more real. I think
anything would be compared to Feldman. Just saying,
true. But yeah, no, for sure. And one thing that really struck me about it too, and just to close the loop on this sort of the harrowing drug use, verite that this kind of becomes as it goes on, is the season itself. It kind of sneaks up on you that Haim really does have a really bad problem. It's kind of presented as a little bit of a slip up, or maybe something's going to happen. I'm sure, as we'll get into, we'll talk about what happens midway through the season. Sure. But then as the last few episodes hit, I mean, it's raw, real. This is somebody who's slipping into a huge opioid addiction. And you have to remember 2008 when this show came out, that's pretty early in the sort of opioid crisis of what was going on. So a lot of the people around Haim didn't know the signs or what was going on.
A lot less awareness.
A lot of awareness,
the doctor shopping and the bullshit scripting. And the cavalier attitude of just writing whatever he needs to make him happy.
So it's also a time capsule of that too, which is pretty
And the
crazy.
thing is, you notice, and I guess as addicts go, that it's a vicious cycle, because I think that the worse he's doing in life, then the more he's using as a crutch the pills, which creates him falling further down the hole. And so you see that spiraling.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean is, like, as you watch the structure of the show, by the middle, and we'll get into that, there's the pivot point when the real slurring starts.
Yeah, the slurring.
Film shoot. And in just we just got a few more episodes, 4 more episodes, and he's pretty much gone every time he's on camera. And it wasn't like that in the first part.
No.
Because the thing is, in the arc of this is, this starts season 2, where he's back, baby. I'm back, baby. Yeah. And he's like, and it's sad because the framing is sad. like I'm doing my mea culpas. I'm checking it out in the paper. And Corey Haim, that's the old Corey Haim. Forget him. He's gone. I'm like juicing and I'm doing 100 push-ups in the morning. He's got his life together. Is the narrative in the beginning.
Yeah. Right.
So that by the time
apart,
but by the time you get to the final episode,
self-sabotage.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by the spiraling. It's it's something bad makes him worse, and that getting worse makes him even worse and even worse and worse. Help me.
Yeah.
I don't really know
you almost wonder why someone would commit to doing that on film, but for both of them, why you would show this
publicity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think you're right that Feldman's very aware. He's almost like gymming, like The Office, looking to the camera sometimes.
Hyper aware. He's always got an eye on that camera.
Yeah. And he was the executive producer on the show, and so you got to remember he was on Surreal Life before this.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
Next
Dr.
time
Drew in the house.
Next birthday.
Yeah,
Where's that beat? Where's that drop, dude? Dr. Drew's in the house.
Okay, I didn't see that, but so he was on. So he was sort of the not the main force behind it, but he was definitely on board as a creative force, And I think the first season was supposed to be just completely scripted reality. That was the idea. And it was like, I think it was something they did to kind of like help get Lost Boys 2 going again. It was like, this will be a stair step towards that,
Sure.
And so while they're shooting it, then Lost Boys 2 becomes like a reality, and Feldman tried to get Haim in it, but they wouldn't work with him because he had such a horrible reputation.
Right.
So this is all according to choreography.
Greatest title of all time.
I know.
It's great.
Like I wanted to be present when he figured that out. Like, oh my God, I got the title.
Yeah, right. It is great. So he was sitting on that for a long. He must have been sitting on that for a long time. So God, that threw me off. Where was I? So so they were doing Lost. Feldman was offered Lost Boys 2, but they wouldn't put Haim on there. Like Warner Brothers wouldn't let Haim be a part of it.
Like a lot of the times it's insurance, right? That even
reliability.
Hey, listen. At this
we
time,
see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, right, exactly. But I'm just saying, ironically, right before this period, 2008, you couldn't get Robert Downey insured for roles.
Sure.
Fucking mess.
Liabilities. These are liabilities. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, supposedly, when they were doing the first season of the reality show, like Haim was in okay shape, and that's kind of why Feldman agreed to do it. But then once Lost Boys, he actually in that season, you see like Feldman has to tell Corey, like they're gonna do Lost Boys and they don't want you to be in it. But they asked me to be in it.
Oh wow.
And according to the book, that's afterwards. Then people started dropping by to deliver like Valium to Haim and stuff like that. So that's according to Corey's book, and that's when he started to go kind of started his drug addiction started to surface, but it wasn't public.
Right.
And so A&E was like, "Hey, we're getting good reviews on season 1. Let's go do season 2 with you guys." And Feldman was a little unsure because Haim was already kind of out of control. And so they renegotiated their contract and said, let's make it just a regular old reality show, like a documentary style reality instead of the scripted thing. Because by the end of season 1, Feldman says that Haim was like losing sense of like what was part of the show and what wasn't, like what was scripted and what wasn't.
Jeez, okay.
Wow. So they renegotiated their contracts and said like, hey, we're going to do a reality docu style reality show on us. Non-scripted, but you can't talk about Feldman's. Can't talk about my son. And Haim's like, you can't talk about my drug addiction and my drug use.
Oh.
But the stipulation was unless he ends up kind of like outing himself using on the show, then it would become part of the storyline.
Wow.
And they also, one of the things that they, according to the book, that he said that I was off the table was discussing their like molestation and abuse that had happened to them on set. And then so they're shooting like that opening scene.
Can we talk about that for a second? I want to set the stage for
table.
That. Yeah.
You, Mark.
Yeah. Well, I just because I think this is a good point to start talking about the show, because just for me, just as the audience proxy here, I grew up, loving the Lost Boys. I'm not a huge Corey's guy, but obviously, Stand By Me. Oh my God, Tom, Friday 4, and stuff with Feldman.
Friday 13th, 4.
Of course, The Burbs. Oh my God, amazing.
He's Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, right, Tommy fucking Jarvis. Right. So so I that's my frame of reference, right? But this is all new to me. This whole drama surrounding them, watching this for the first time. Right. And again, I'm not going back to watch season 1. I'm just raw dogging. We're going into season 2. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
And the first thing I see when this show starts up is this unbelievably, and I think I texted you this, Marcus. At times this show feels so either low budget, or it's the technology at the time, or because it's still in standard def or whatever. And the camera is so in the face of every person at all times that it feels like Inland Empire at some times. It really fucking does.
That's one of the big observations of the year for me. And I'm glad you said that. And then I rewatched the 10 episodes, and I was like, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's like
yeah,
these
sure.
really...
I mean, they were made within years of each other.
I know.
And it's the
Same
tech
year.
half of it,
Isn't it the
but
same
it's
year?
also, but it's no, not the same year, but the same area, it's a period of time.
Sure.
But like, no, but it's so the technology leads to it, but also guess what? The setting is the same.
Yeah,
all these
Hollywood.
bullshit, the B-roll pickup shot. Like between every time they're having a conversation, there's these dumbass B-roll pickup shots of like Sunset Boulevard and like the Walk of Fame and stuff like that.
Or the times when you see Corey Haim like, you know, walking like Melrose, you know, and he's in the middle of the night.
They both take place in Hollywood.
I know. So it's very...
That's creepy.
It is
kind of
and
like
a McMansion, Corey's McMansion.
And it's a cautionary
McMansion.
tale too. It's a big cautionary tale.
Yeah.
The sky is kind
Double
of blown.
feature from hell.
That DV camera, it's got the skies either like blown out, you know.
Yes.
So it feels kind of heavenly, vanilla sky-ish or something, you know.
Ooh. Yeah.
Or they've got this kind of like filter put over the top where everything is orange and there's kind of like a gradient in the sky.
It looks like
you know?
after, you know, the wildfires in LA. It looks like this post-apocalyptic.
The last shots of the show, the incredibly grim, ambiguous, ambivalent last few moments of the show, like Corey Haim's face is like just bathed in like blood, hell on earth red.
We need to talk about that ending when we get there.
Well, we'll get to it. I'm just saying,
there's like a style to the shooting.
There's a style to it.
That does add to the tension and the impact of it. You know?
It's the ending. We'll get to it. Phenomenal. But get there.
The tech, the location. And the stylization, weirdly Inland Empire.
So there it is. Yeah. And then now to circle back to the beginning, how the show opens. Again, I don't know anything about this. And and immediately it's just like blow the doors open with these guys meeting at Art's Deli in Studio City, I believe, right? Shout out. Right. And it's just confrontation on 11. Where it's like, you know, you got something to fucking say to me? Well, fucking say it. You're not going to like it. You know, calling each other backstabbers.
Come on, kid. Like, what do you really want to say?
I can destroy you right now and you know it.
Go ahead.
I don't have to do that.
Corey, I'd love to see you even attempt to do something like that.
Are you kidding me?
Do I look like I'm kidding you right now?
Yeah, it's like...
Adjusting the... Beanie adjusting,
it's beanie adjustments.
A lot of beanie adjustments,
and then it's like confrontational goatee, you know, goatees,
and stroking,
and then of course like hardcore, as we said, Tom Hardy affliction shirts with all the what did I say, Tom Hardy?
I said Tom Hardy. That's a different look.
Stuff.
Anyway, yes, the Tom Hardy look. So that makes me like, you know, not everything. Just 2 seconds pin on this. Not everything dates in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But this kind of stuff is dating. Like things don't look the way. There's a bunch of shit in fashion and style that don't look. The fashion, number one, don't look like now.
Yeah.
And then also the technology. So there's the headset.
Oh, the Bluetooth earpiece.
I got a lot going on. Bluetooth headset thing, Marcus. And then also there's some good like chunky weird laptops and stuff.
Yeah,
definitely. People aren't rocking iPhones. It's
like
right before the iPhone.
Stuff.
It's very it's like the last gas before iPhones. It's very kind of Bam Margera, you know, era.
Yeah,
you know,
Viva La Bam.
Yeah, it's very.
It's like the final part of the 20th century or something.
It is. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So you this huge confrontation where you obviously understand there's a lot of resentment that's built up on both sides. You fucked me over this thing. You fucked me over this thing. And to Marcus's point, what you were saying earlier about the sort of clause of the things we will not discuss, it's all thrown out on the table and out the door, I'm guessing, in that first moment, in the first second of the second season. It's a crazy opener. Yeah.
Everything on the table. Yeah, Haim just starts accusing Feldman of covering up for his abusers, and then Feldman says, "You're friends with my abuser," and it's...
You let me get f***ed around in my life, man. Raped, so to speak. When I was about 14 and a half, and I'm saying this right now, by the guy you used to hang out with, and tell me I'm 14, take responsibility.
It's like, wow, it gets heavy immediately. Meanwhile, like your memory is like the Odd Couple of the last season, you know, and you're saying, but this, I guess, you know, that was the contract said, like Haim was like, if I fuck up, but we're not going to talk about that stuff. And then Feldman says right away, he started launching into that stuff. And he said, that's when I knew this season was going to be.
You know what this would be like, just to help people out? Because people just to take a second out to like reality television, like it would be like season 2 of Jersey Shore starts, where the situation confesses to Snooki, like, yeah, I did hit that guy, and we did bury his body, you know, like, in the backyard. There's a body in the backyard, Snooki. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like it gets real, but in the context of like happy, slappy, goofy.
Right, because I do think it's kind of the first time that they were even talking about that stuff. I mean, we knew that they were abused or whatever, but or like rumors of it. But it feels like that was one of the first times that it was just really all in the open. You know?
And yeah, so that's hitting me. And then of course the aesthetic choices that we talk about, you know, of course. And then there's like really heavy-handed music, like kind of a Pure Moods Enya style music.
Yo, Scott.
Starts coming in the first app and things like that. But then there's this big like story mechanic, which is going to be present through every episode, which is the idea is that they're going to go to couples therapy, okay, as friends to try and, which is also very of that era, which I love too.
Oh God, yes.
They're going to try and work things out, but it's going to be, you know, under the presence or with the presence of a therapist.
Just want to give a shout out.
Yeah.
Because 2 years earlier, there's Breaking Bonaducci, that reality show about Danny Bonaducci. And this, just to say, I got to say, Two Coreys is a knockoff tonally of Breaking Bonaducci. By the way, that's next week's episode. Season 3 of Breaking Bonaducci. But anyway, do look it up. It's 2005. Bonaducci, as we all know, is a famous train wreck. The show's great. That's my jam.
Okay.
And it's just, I think that it's aping that, because Breaking Bonaducci was breaking ground kind of as far as being like warts and all. And I think that these guys were trying to capture the magic of that, which was, you know, like really TMZ angst.
Right.
Totally. Yeah. So right out of the gate, insane stuff. And, you know, Marcus, anything else about Ep 1 you want to touch on?
No, well, they do seem to patch things up at the end. So you do get a little hopeful.
Yes, there's hope
that they are going to, you know, push through, because Haim admits to like that he did something wrong, you know, or whatever. So
he takes some.
You're kind of hopeful that it's going to go well.
Yes. And so then into the next 2 eps or so, it does kind of oscillate into a different tone, which is, you know, Haim, as you said earlier, Tom, is trying to rehabilitate his career once again, you know, and he's kind of having his reboot, rebirth, where he's taking on a full-page ad in Variety to sort of try and make amends with everybody who's all the bridges he's burnt all over town.
But also, while he's making amends, he's like, by the way, my agent's number is this. And you know, it's a very transparent. Yeah. Actually, you know, I got to say, Feldman's wife saw right through it and was like, she was kind of saying with that advertisement in Variety, that's not how you do amends.
Right.
You know? You don't say, here's my card and I'm so sorry.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be about facing people and facing yourself.
It's kind of off.
Yeah. It was off. But like, you know, you do get moments of, you know, where they're lighter, funnier moments, even though they're underscored with darkness, which this series is all about. Where, you know, he's encouraged through therapy to paint his sadness, you know, and we see a lot of action painting throughout this. Haim does throughout the show. We also see him get a new assistant. Now, this is a pivotal character, and in the series, Nell is you see in this show, where he interviews.
We like Nell.
We love Nell. And
Nell's awesome.
And you see him get conducting interviews for different, you know, getting different new assistants. Which
is a classic, you know,
classic scene to have.
Like a really short guy and then a really tall guy and a Russian guy doesn't speak English. You know what I mean? Like, Like I come to work for you, Mr. Corey.
Yeah, right.
Like all these people who are obviously terrible candidates.
Right.
His assistant.
But she's great, you know. She's got a good heart, and she's got a big heart, and she's, you know, ready and willing to dive in and take control of his life in a big way.
My 25-cent psychoanalysis is she's reading very mother to him,
very much so,
like a real mother, like a maternal figure, which he doesn't seem to have. Because my cheap understanding of all this is that the mom was kind of like a gold digging and kind of rock and roll, like delayed adolescence. The real mother, generally, and this, like, Nell's just warm.
Yes.
and forgiving and loving and supportive.
Yeah.
And it's just what the doctor ordered for him, but it's far too late,
I mean, he really lucks
Right.
out. He lucks out with her big time. Yeah.
Right. His real mom's kind of like enabling, like she's like,
Yes.
like here's how you revive him if he overdoses, type mom,
Yeah.
And
She's just not like Nell. That's all I'm saying.
so Nell is
Nell's a warm hug.
Yeah.
Nell's great. Like she's so it's so endearing to see her like try to help him, even though as futile as it is, it's so I want a Nell. I need a Nell.
Dude, you're getting a Nell.
Oh, dude, you're getting a Nell.
Cut to the commercial.
Yeah, right.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
Ha ha ha. One fucking hour.
Yes. So, and like, as soon as Nell does come into the picture, it's very weird for Feldman because he's getting phone calls from Corey Haim's new assistant. Like, what's he get this assistant now? Who is this fucking guy?
Hey, you know who also has an assistant though?
Oh,
you know, also has a new assistant.
Yes.
Another great character.
Another amazing character. Jake, is that his name?
What's his name?
I think
his name's Jake. Yeah,
Jake.
it's
Okay,
Jake.
Yeah. So we see Feldman get a new assistant. Jake comes on the scene. He's an ultra Corey fan. He's a huge fan.
He dresses like Corey. He does his hair like Corey. He shows up wearing a License to Drive T-shirt.
Yes, and it's really uncomfortable and
He's a lot of boundaries problems with the wife.
Yes, that's true. Yes, and but he was like his longtime assistant, right? Like
right.
Oh,
right.
Oh, so okay,
Let's
so
hear it.
From this point onward into the
Yeah,
show.
it was years of being
Jake.
assistant.
well, what year was it? I mean, like that's probably a good time to mention.
You're like
that
shooting
Tom-
in 2007 or so.
Yeah, 2007.
Well, but right. Well, Tom and I actually met Corey. We were lucky enough to meet Corey Feldman
Yes, that's right.
at the theater,
And we
once.
weren't expecting it. All right, so real quick.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah, go
at
ahead.
Cine Family. We used to work at the Cine Family movie theater. There's an upstairs. There's a huge TV, and that's where we were almost all the time in the last few years. We're watching Beavis and Butthead, of course, on YouTube. And then up the stairs, the last person in the world we'd expect. And we were way into Corey. We were really Coreying out. Strangely
Right.
enough.
At that time, At that
Me and
time,
Marcus,
yeah.
yeah. This guy walks up with the two of the angels because it's Feldman in his angels period. He just walks up and he goes, I see. So this is what the geniuses behind Cine Family do all day is watch Beavis and Butthead. Oh, makes sense to me or something like that. And he's all short and like being Corey, and this was nuts.
He was short. I was pretty starstruck, but by Feldman,
Amazing.
but almost more so by
Amazing.
the fact that fucking Jake was there too.
Wow. That's
right.
Who I
Jake
did
from State
recognize.
Farm was there, baby.
Yeah, Jake. So yeah, lots of interesting, colorful characters throughout this whole show. So then they're trying to kind of hang out, and they're trying to, the two Coreys, and they're trying to kind of, get back
They
what
go
they once
bowling.
had. They go bowling. Can you imagine if you rolled up and like you saw them two bowling? That'd be
know.
fucking
I wish.
wild.
Pinch me. But I noticed that, they do. There is a friend, like my observation, because I'm not that into them and know the details, but just they did have banter and they had good chemistry. Like they were ribbing each other during the bowling. It was a lot of bad jokes, but it was like
Yeah, it's
there
sweet,
was
though,
a
to
warmth
see.
there.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like there's something there because like if I'm not mistaken, like they bonded when they were sharing a hotel room at the Lost Boys shoot, right? Mark?
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
And
yeah.
they clicked and they had it the whole time.
Yeah, straight away. It was like, who's this other? I think it was Feldman seeing Haim's picture in all the teen magazines, and then figuring out that there's this other Corey. He spells his name the same way. He's also Jewish. We're the same age. Like WTF? And then when he was kind of suspect of him, but when he finally met him, it was like this instant chemistry that they had or connection they had.
And the chemistry
I
does
saw
come
that in
out
the
on
bowling.
screen. I mean, their movies aren't like, like a fine art or anything, but the chemistry does come out on screen.
Absolutely.
And I think that was a huge, it's not just because they're both named Corey that they were made all these
Right,
movies
right.
together, like they,
Yeah.
the chemistry really
Oh,
does work. And you see them
100%.
trying to rebuild that in this show. It's like Feldman's like, he's like got a kid. We don't see the kid in the show. He's got a wife. He's got like a real life. That's not his real house, by the way. That's like a mansion, McMansion or something.
Love that. I knew that was like a rental.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like it, right?
Knew it.
I know, but
course.
but like he's at a different place in his life, and then Haim is like he's had all these struggles. He's never really bounced back. He didn't do a film without Corey for a while.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And there's just there's sort of a differential there between how bad his life it seems to be going.
And I think
he's got a huge chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
he's as the therapist points out, she's like, there's a wealth of pain. The wealth of pain that comes off you is enormous. Yeah, it's so true.
It's a nice thing to hear.
I know.
Yeah,
thank you.
Cool. See you next week.
Thanks.
He does.
But I gotta say, I think that it is one of the things chipping away at Haim is that all kidding aside, they have the same name and all that stuff. But like that's an old dear friend of his, and like it's like he's in sharp relief. Haim is doing the math on what his life is like. And Corey's doing not amazing. He's not like getting an Oscar nomination or anything like that, but he does have a wife and a family, and it looks like it's a pretty legit relationship.
Well,
and he is somewhat more successful. It's all by degrees, but it's kind of that kills Haim because like he's not down in the dumps with Haim. Like Feldman is, I wouldn't say he's quite thriving, but he's surviving better than.
And there's something that we touched on earlier in the about this dynamic, which I think is, yes, Haim, you can sense that there's a lot of trauma there, and we know it from the stories now, the sexual abuse and all that stuff that both of the Coreys, went through.
Kind of weird sideways parenting.
Yeah. Well, and just all the stuff of everything that comes with being a child star of that era, the drugs, everything else. So that is true, and he's an addict, Haim, and he's dealing with that and has all those personality traits as an addict would. But you can tell that there's something deep down in him. There is a kindness, and there is there is a good in him, because he's very gentle with Nell, and he's very sweet to her, and he's sweet to other people in the show up to a certain point, which we'll get to.
Can I point out totally? A real revelation for me was that brief moment when he's kind of chiming in and helping out other child actors with kind of advice. There's a class of kids that he's advising.
Totally.
It's kind of a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
But, they're all like, 8 to 12 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I talked to you guys about it. It's like he never felt more natural and calm, frankly, and more at home with just hanging out with like 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds. And it's very sweet, and it's very tragic because, we were talking about this. Like, I think he's stunted. I think he's essentially, for whatever reason.
Yeah, he's a kid inside.
But he's
He has an
basically
innocent
a kid
quality.
inside.
Yeah. They say that about your addiction, like it freezes you at whatever age you started that addiction.
Right. But I think that even beyond that, it's like, he didn't have to grow up too, partly because, when you're a success, you suddenly, you can be frozen because like, you're a millionaire and you're 15 years old or whatever, so it's like, you don't live the way we all otherwise do.
He misses, these guys missed their childhoods as well too.
Right, exactly. Right, all that, yeah. So I found that very sweet because I felt like, who's this guy? Who's Corey Haim here? Because like the way he is behaving with those kids is very warm, and he feels very at home, and he feels very at peace because look, adults can be scary and weird, and by extension, Hollywood is pure evil.
Sure.
I stand by Hollywood is evil. Okay. Like it's not even funny or like a question. It's just like, and so when you're in hell on earth of a certain kind of abstract kind, it's not like, a Iraq-Iran war kind of hell, but like, so like he feels comfortable amongst sweethearted young people,
innocent,
instead of all these gross, predatory, shithead, people who don't give a shit about you.
And then on the flip side with Feldman in this, we touched on it. Well, we touched on it, but it's very evident, and we'll get into it because I do want to get into the big episodes that are coming up here.
Let's go.
But with Feldman, you can tell that he, as you said, he's very aware of the camera, but he's also kind of on his high horse, I think, throughout this whole season.
Yeah, that's not good.
Where he is sort of like, he thinks he's got his shit together and he's all normal.
Can I be a cheap psychoanalysis here?
Sure.
When people are close in social stratus and one is a little better than the other, to make the one who's doing a little better feel better, they have to kind of keep shitting on the person who because in the way Haim has Feldman as an example of like not doing as well as Feldman. Feldman has, I'm not doing as bad as Haim, and he's trying to also fix Feldman, who's not doing 100% anyway.
Right.
By like fixing Haim. And I gotta say, Feldman slipped a little just maybe once in this whole season. Maybe you guys can help me here. He was talking about his looks, how he looks, and remember how fat he is, and he's not
He gets
fat.
liposuction.
Yes.
But I mean, he's talking about, look at my fat belly, you know, because he's shirtless in one scene. But then he goes into this thing very briefly, but he gets into it, and he's like, my mom would tell me, I was from like 7 years old, cut your hair, make yourself blonde, lose weight. And you could tell his eyes were glazing over, and he was getting into his trauma mantra there. And we got out of there, but it was brief, but he let it slip. So there's a lot of weird darkness with Feldman. Marcus?
And so, well, there's that real quick. And then there's also just that you can tell throughout this whole season, he's kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes, and he's trying to, much like how he's trying to control Haim throughout this whole season, he's also trying to control the whole show, I feel like, at times.
It's kind of sick. He's showbiz, and like I said, he's part of the hell on earth kind of thing.
Totally.
Right. And the way he's the one that knows that the show is sort of exploiting Haim's
exactly.
And
you know what that means? Big books.
Yeah, right.
You know, lots of eyeballs, views.
But he's also genuinely trying to help him too, and like, you know, he has to pull all these strings to get him on.
I think
Lost
he
Boys
does,
too,
and no,
he's conflicted.
No, and I think he really does. And let's talk about that,
because he's someone who's very aware of fame and like how to get attention and stuff, and use that. And he's I mean, we see it today. He's still kind of constantly, almost like Trumpian in a way, able to get press for himself.
Absolutely,
for sure, at all costs. And you know, so it's anyway.
Well, let's get into that, because I think him, you know, at least the emotion behind his want for Haim to get better comes through in episode 5, which is really the big ep. It's the infamous big ep of this show where everything goes off the rails. Okay, so it basically opens.
It's an incredible episode.
It's an incredible ep. Just to set the stage, it opens in one of their therapy sessions, and Haim is almost in like somewhat of a manic state, I would say, where he's kind of just saying all these. He's like apologizing to Feldman about stuff. He's talking about how he's such a wonderful man, a wonderful husband. You know, it's a love fest, you know, is how it starts. And it's all building up to this moment where they're going to go on set and do their cameos or their parts for Lost Boys 2 20 years later, you know, and that's, and they're excited, and all this is coming back around again, and we're going to recapture what we had. And
because like Feldman is like, he's a main character in Lost Boys 2, and Haim has like a cameo basically, like a 2-scene, like a 1-scene cameo or something that they're shooting.
And the way that this unfolds is you're not really, your hand isn't held through it. You're kind of watching it as it's unfolding. But they get to set, they get in their trailers, and then it's kind of this like, wait a minute, what's going on with Haimster? You know, something doesn't seem.
Well, to quote Feldman, it's like, I didn't understand what you just said.
Yeah, because he's slurring his lines.
I hear that in my head all the time. Him going, "How's your family this morning?"
And his family this morning.
What?
How's your family this morning?
Oh, good.
Good.
Couldn't understand you.
Yeah. You know? Oh God.
And then he doesn't understand him, and Haim gets angry. He's like, "How's your family this morning?" You know, but he's angry.
Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay, dude. Well, but you know, he is saying like, actually, there's a haunting little moment. It's kind of well shot. The night before, it's Haim across the street in his window. The camera's seeing him, like peeping at him, and he's going back and forth running lines.
Yes.
Like, you know, like for instance, "Easy, compadre."
I love that.
He forgets that line.
Easy, compadre.
Easy, compadre.
Yeah. Line.
What's the line right there?
Easy, compadre.
Right, look, easy, compadre.
Easy, compadre.
That's my production
What's
company.
Yeah.
Easy, compadre Productions.
Yeah.
Okay, but the camera's seeing him, and it's sad because he's going like, you know, he's panicked, he's spiraling, and this is what I mean. Like, it just builds like. This is a stressful situation for him. It's the morning before, maybe the first step in his comeback. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. He's like this is really loaded. It's not just like, oh, we'll do something kind of goofy.
It's a movie that was very special to him too, and like this, he considered he was sort of the main guy.
He is the main
movie.
character. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he considers it to be his movie.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like a
Lost
culmination.
Yeah.
No, but Haim is like the night before. He just goes like I'm quoting him. He's like, "I guess I'm not sleeping tonight," you know. So I think that he also is simply sleep deprived, and then he got
anxiety
up on pills. That's what I'm saying. It's like he's like any normal person would be freaking out about the pressure of like the next 6 hours will change my life. or they won't, and I'm in control of it going either way.
And we touched on
that
this.
That is pressure.
Yeah, well, there is pressure. Yeah, and we're touching on this too. Like, again, classic trait of an addict, and some may say, is the self-sabotage sort of concept, right? And that comes into fruition here big time, where, you know, Haim immediately, he's not remembering his lines. He can't remember his lines. He's slurring. He goes back to his trailer. He starts melting down and saying he needs a cigarette.
He's yelling at people.
He's yelling at ADs who are asking him where he is and all this other stuff. And then you see this moment that's so surreal. It's such a surreal thing to see, which is Corey Feldman in the Frog Brothers costume, sitting in the trailer with the wig and the headband and everything. And he still kind of looks like, you know, what he looked like back then in a way. And he's going back to his trailer and sitting with his wife and asking if she's seen Haim and what's going on. And it's becoming this kind of like almost Nathan Fielder, like rehearsal meta moment, you know, it's very strange. And then, you know, this is that era of reality show where it's like, you know, anything goes, exploitation to the max. And you see some really unflattering moments where we're seeing shots outside of the Corey Haim's trailer, and we're hearing the snorting sounds of him snorting rails of
because they weren't being clear that he's got a hot mic still.
Yeah, it's like, oof.
You know, they just let it ride and they recorded it. Like, hey, whose birthday is it?
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Let's not forget, this is a good ass time.
This is a birthday episode.
To Corey's birthday episode. Crushing depression. Hot mic snorting. Okay, sorry. Just, let's get our bearings.
Right, sure. Amazing. So incredible. And very sad and just so depressing. And then to get to what I was talking about, heavy therapy session that follows this, right? They get him in there. Therapist trying to call out Haim for being high. And of course, this is the ongoing thing here of Haim being in denial and trying to manipulate everybody. But this is like where it's very emotional. And shout out to Raimi. She wanted me to mention her on the show because she couldn't be here tonight. She just graduated grad school today. So yay. Congrats. But so she couldn't make it. But anyway, she watched all of this with me, and she's a huge COREYS fan. She loved it. And this is the moment where I looked over and there were tears coming down.
It's a rough scene, yeah.
It's a rough scene, but this is how much the COREYS mean to her, you know? And it's that moment when Feldman is trying to get Haim to acknowledge what really happened, and he's not doing it.
He's like, I don't understand why you would do that to yourself, Corey.
I can't even put into words, like, why would you do that to yourself? I love you, man.
I love you too. You gotta breathe, dog. All right,
dude. I don't understand.
Yeah, and there's that, and you can tell he's really rooting for him. Like, he is rooting for Haim, and he wants him to do
right. He's
better.
like, everyone wants you to succeed. Everybody wants you to succeed.
That's very sad. Yeah, very, very, very sad. Yeah,
it is. And Haim just won't. He won't give in. You know.
No.
And there's a weird psychology thing that happens too, because he sort of turns into a dad to Feldman for a second, because he's like, "Hey, I'll be all right, kid.
Yeah,
don't worry." You know, he starts to kind of like
sad
because Feldman's like broken down, crying. You know, and Haim tries to kind of comfort him in this sort of like parental style type thing, and it's all very sad and twisted.
It's very sad, and especially I might have to bring back the 50 Cent here, but it's like, you know, to then know that in 2 years, you know, Corey Haim's going to be dead, you know. Right. It's just like,
it's your birthday.
I know, it's
Marcus, it's your birthday.
This wasn't a good idea for a birthday episode.
The tonal shift.
Sorry.
Or the tonal friction in this episode of one fucking season.
Well, that's weird. What this show is. That's why I think I love this season of this show, is because it is very complicated and nuanced, and there's funny things, and both intentionally funny and unintentionally funny.
Sure.
It's touching. It's a reality on a level that I don't know any other reality show that goes this.
Maybe it's close
dark,
to regular reality.
Yeah.
In fact, let's take a breather for 1 second.
I know what you're going to say, and
let's just do the nug, which is the. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, because I wanted to preface what you're about to say with episode 5 delivers a crushing brutality, emotional brutality.
Really, it's great.
And it's the Haim show for that show. But then Corey gets a ridiculous episode follow-up. And this is the tonal shifts. I'm sorry. Yeah. Feldman gets a insane tonal shift in the episode 6.
The very next episode, it's Valentine's with the Feldmans. And we all know and love Corey's music career, singing career. And he has a song. I've already forgotten the lyrics again, but it's like, springtime flowers bloom. Springtime flowers bloom. What is it? Like, the flowers in the spring are bloom.
Like, springtime flowers bloom.
Flowers bloom.
Never come too soon.
Never come too soon.
Yeah, he's trying to write a song. He's trying to write like a piano ballad for his wife for Valentine's Day, and that's
so that he can do the excruciating thing where I can't even look at it by the like embarrassment by proxy. The thing where the man is staring at the woman's eyes and singing right at them in front of 100 people.
I know.
Like,
I know.
Can you like why? How could anyone put?
It's like a millimeter from her face yelling. Like with the hitting her nose to nose. No, but what I'm saying is like that's so crushing because like that's bad enough. The nose to nose yell bad singing, but there's like 100 people,
and like a whole string section.
How can that gal deal with that? It's like because.
Well, can I say? I just want to say, like, if to read
Feld dog.
Well, to read between the lines too. It's like I do wonder if in reality what happened is like when you're producing reality TV. I'm sure you have an outline sketch of the stuff you're going to do for episode 1, 2, 3 to 10. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, well, 6, we'll do the Valentine's episode
because it's lining up. February's coming.
Right. So we'll do that. But the undertone of what just happened in episode 5 and then having to deliver this Valentine's Day thing, knowing the gravity of everything, it just makes it such a crazy tone.
Even more than usual.
And an underbelly to everything.
No, I agree. Can I just real quick, like, I'm inferring that they got divorced
a year later or something. Yeah.
Like a year later?
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
And she cited Valentine's Day was the reason, right?
No. Stop.
Get out of here. But what did you have? Do you have 411 in there?
I don't have that. I tried to do. I tried to search the book for that. He doesn't go into it. But but he does talk about them having an unconventional relationship.
Well, but they were done about a year later.
This is what I do know. Is obviously later in the season, she does do a Playboy photo shoot, which makes Corey very uncomfortable. But also, I watched earlier today. What is it? My Truth: The Rape of Two Coreys. That's what I watched earlier.
So you're kidding, right?
That's the real title.
You're making a joke. It's like shorthand.
No,
the real title of the documentary is actually
The Rape of Two Coreys, which is
brutal.
Corey Feldman put out a few years ago talking
death
about
metal time.
It is brutal.
The allegations, of course. Getting into it, very hard watch. But I did watch it, and she's interviewed in it. So I inferred the ex-wife. So I infer from that they're still on pretty good terms,
right?
For her to be in that piece and everything. So that's the only thing I do know. But anyway,
might be a Hollywood marriage in some ways.
Sure,
I don't know.
That's true.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's true.
And he does have a kid, and supposedly everyone says he's a great dad. Everyone said that about.
Okay.
And the kid is interviewed in the documentary as well too. He seems very all the things he says about.
You got to put your kid in the rape of two Coreys.
Even all the people that like turn on Corey and hate him and say horrible things about him, even they're like, well, but he was a good dad.
And by the way, what's the latest on Corey? What has he been doing the last 12 months?
Well, he's been on tour with Tom.
Limp Bizkit, bitch. That's right. He was on the loser tour with Limp Bizkit.
All right, we got to get into the rest.
He's like on the, this is like the 9th or 19th rebirth of Corey, I think. Right? The guitar solo. That's the thing that he's known for now.
There you go.
That wicked guitar solo.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Okay, just to keep things moving here.
Yeah.
Because in episode 7, then I just want to touch on. There's a very eerie moment. Again, we said Corey Haim passes away very shortly after the filming of all of this. And there's a scene where you see Corey trying to kind of reconnect with his dad in episode 7, which is a very emotional. And he even says that his dad doesn't need to worry about him getting a call, that his boy is dead. He says that, which is obviously very eerie.
Doesn't have to worry about his boy getting a call. He's dead.
And that's when he goes to the child actor workshop and he speaks there. And his dad is so proud of him for doing that. And it is a very positive thing that he's doing.
He should be, yeah.
Yeah, he is, and it's great.
Corey was thriving in there.
Yeah, he's thriving. Yeah, and that's when the Playboy shoot's happening on the Feldman side of the story. But anyway, now let's get to just episode 8 I'd like to talk about, because 8 was another just banger of an episode.
Yeah.
And this is when things go off the rails. And what happens is it opens with a therapy session with the two Coreys, and Feldman pitches this idea, which he says is not an intervention, but it really is an intervention.
But it looks like one.
It is, where he's going to get some of their child actor peers.
Intervention with Pauly Shore.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
And Todd Bridges of Different Strokes fame.
Yeah. So he wants to do
some other guy.
He wants to do a quasi intervention to basically, and this is when I feel like the show itself is a little ahead of the audience in the storytelling, because we haven't really seen Corey, aside from episode 5, really off the rails with drugs and everything. And so, but everyone else has in this show. They've seen it and experienced it. So
now we're getting he has like Scotch tape all over his hand.
It's a bad sign.
Some weird things
that was
are happening.
An injury or a tattoo or something, because you do see him get tattooed.
Oh, that's a tattoo. That's a tattoo.
Well, but he's also punching walls. There's like a big punch out in the wall.
Yeah.
So,
or maybe it's both.
There's lots of close-ups on his mouth, like when he's using and stuff too. And you're like,
it's bad.
The shame and the drugs are coming through.
The grinding.
It's bad. It's bad. So anyway, he tells Feldman he's not comfortable with that. He doesn't want to hear what everybody else thinks he should do. He doesn't
want to hear Pauly Shore's life advice.
Yeah, seriously. You want to take life advice from Pauly Shore?
Jesus.
Yeah, so anyway, he says he's not comfortable with it. Then Feldman invites Haim over. And this is when things get a little unethical, I think, in terms of, Feldman being sort of I feel like a Wizard of Oz to this whole show. Yeah. And he ostensibly forces Haim and ambushes him with this intervention that he does not want, and puts him in a very uncomfortable position. And then things get really crazy from that point on. And Haim walks out, and then Feldman kind of feels quasi guilty, and so he goes over to Haim's house to apologize, but he's not there. And then he comes back, and it explodes into this insane argument.
And the wife is there with Feldman, and all three of them are screaming at each other.
Hey, man, look.
It's a two-way street, dude.
No.
Two-way
you. Okay, forget all. Yeah, really. You. Okay. You. Let's go. Good.
And it's
and
worse.
It's really harsh.
Yeah.
Street level tear downs.
Dude, get the out.
Something. I will leave. It's over. Therapy is over.
Get out. Get out of here, man.
I'm done.
Get out of my house.
I hope you.
Oh yeah,
it's really ugly.
Yeah, Haim's screaming at Feldman's wife, saying "You're alcoholic mother's crack smoking whore."
Yeah, the crack smoking drunk. Your mom. The whore. Yeah.
Crack smoking whore.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah. Bitch.
I'm gonna throw a fucking rock into your fucking forehead.
Exactly. Yeah.
He pulls around again. I'm throwing a rock through his windshield at her forehead.
That line.
Yeah. And
he's getting kind of He's dursting out.
He's dursting really bad, but it's and it's amazing too, because there is this one of these moments where you just could never write it. It's truth is stranger than fiction, where they find one of Corey Haim's shoes on his steps, and they're like, "What's his shoe doing here? Let's bring it up." And then when Corey Haim comes home, he's like, "Don't move my fucking shoe," and puts the shoe.
Leave my shoes alone.
Yeah, you touched my shoe, and he basically throws the shoe away. Down the stairs.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't want it anymore. You wear it. Yeah.
Crazy. So crazy outburst, and then it ends with insane fucking new metal ballad song with Corey Haim action painting.
Are you strong enough to break the world in two? And it's you're strong enough for the world to break in two.
Nickelback,
or oh man, it's
Creed.
Super crazy shit.
I'm gonna put that song on my phone.
Yeah. I hate this because we do have to kind of speed through to the next stuff because I do want to get to the ending. But episode 9 is really hard to get through because it's all the heavy Haim denial in terms of how bad his drug use is getting. We're really seeing it. Nell's coming forward to sort of say to him, to confront him, like, I've seen you fall asleep at the wheel, and her going all in to say, like, you're an addict.
You could kill someone, you could kill yourself. Corey.
Yeah. It's just like it's where things.
She's like
brutal.
in tears. It's so moving,
It is. It's very moving.
And since he knows that she doesn't have an agenda like Feldman, or the psychiatrist, frankly, it's just a job for her. Like the care that Nell has, person to person. She almost gets through to him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows that this is a real person. Because she's not Hollywood, basically.
Right? She's not out for anything. Right. Yeah, she's genuine. Right. Yeah, and it's great. Right. Yeah. Then you see Corey Haim's mom there. She's she's being manipulated and very easily, and you see how
that's some of the darkest stuff in the show. He's in the bathroom, and he's like kind of doing a gag with the lights. He's like, "Mom, the lights," and she's like, "Are you okay?"
Hello, Judy. Do you like a scary movie?
Are you all right? God.
He's like, "You gave birth to me, Mom. Do I fucking look okay?"
You gave birth to me. Does it seem like I'm all right? You're to blame.
Yeah, it's dark.
Like, whoa. And there's a really dark shot of him in the mirror. He looks like ghoulish and scary.
Yeah, birthday boy. Party time.
My birthday movie.
Movie. All right.
Well, he looks. You sent me a still of that moment, and I didn't recognize Haim for a second.
I know, it's very scary.
Still, okay.
This is
almost like Dorian Gray or something.
Yes. Yeah, Dorian Haim. So this is when the liposuction stuff we mentioned earlier happens, which just adds another layer. So now Feldman's getting a little real with his insecurity and his trauma, and it is shout out to our episode. It made me think of All That Jazz because it's like he's talking about his childhood trauma while it's being intercut with really hardcore surgery reality, medical surgery reality footage, which is gnarly to watch. Man, so that was crazy. But the final episode of the Two Coreys season 2 is really heavy, obviously. We see Haim getting in a car accident. He fishtails his car and he crashes into a neighbor's house or someone in the neighborhood.
Immediately after he fires the therapist.
That's right.
Storms out of her office.
That's right.
Then gets in because she accuses him of being on drugs. And he's like, "What? No, I'm fine." And then he immediately gets into a car wreck afterwards.
Yeah, which is insane. And there is that whole thing, right? Which is very of that era where it's like, well, a doctor prescribed me these. They're my medication, And so he's caught in that whole loop. But there is a moment when finally people get to him and he's going to flush his drugs, but then he's not quite. No. He's still separating. Well, I need these ones. We can flush those
these
ones.
Are different. This is like, like you said, it's like it's a script. So
and that's a moment.
There's that thing when people are on like benzodiazepines or whatever they are, that if they go off them right away, it can kill them.
Oh, no, of course. And that's like this whole moment I'm watching and I'm like, no, you need to bring him to a facility right now.
And they could do the steps to wean him off.
Exactly.
Methodically. The way that's shot too, it's so cool. Like, because he's like tells the cameraman to shut it off. The guy that's in the house and he does, but then there are guys outside.
But there's a guy across the street. Like a nice big fat window.
More vultures. Filming all this. Totally. So that's really grim. But then this show ends on such an abrupt art film sort of way,
ambiguous ending,
where it's just like Haim is like, tries to contact Feldman and say, just come meet me on top of this mountain, up in the Hollywood Hills.
7 p.m.
At 7 p.m. Meet me
7:15. The sun's getting further down.
And
7:33. And Feldman is not showing up. And that's where I was saying, like, he's somehow lit or something with like dark hell red. Haim's face waiting out there at the at the sunset, and Feldman is hemming and hawing in his rented McMansion, like, should I put my shoes on and go in the car?
And then we just cut to Haim alone standing up there in this mountain, and that's it. I mean,
end of season 2.
End of roll credits. He's just alone.
Unresolved. I was shocked because see, I was watching the dial go down on the file, and I went because if I didn't, I would have been like, oh, it's 5 more minutes, and like there's a hug at the end, but it just is ice cold, and it's Feldman's face staring into the abyss.
Yes,
or Haim.
And, sorry, Haim's face staring into the abyss with Feldman fidgeting and not putting his shoes on, not
and then
his friend.
And then again to know that it has this extra layer of poignancy to it. Because obviously Haim passes away. This wouldn't be the last time they would ever see each other, of course. But
yeah, in the book he does say that they did. Many people, fans of the Coreys, even seem to be under the misconception that we never spoke again. But Haim reached out to me in 2009. That's like after MJ died. Michael Jackson was like Feldman's friend and idol. Then he got a divorce. It was like a heavy year for him.
Yeah.
So Haim reached out to him at that time.
Haim reached out when MJ died. Wow. In 2009, which is a year after this show aired.
Yeah.
So like there was a big icy pause. Yeah, in at least a year. Okay.
Yeah. And of course the irony of Feldman being all about protecting the kids now, but then also being a big MJ defender is always been a lot of criticism has been thought there.
Right.
Which, but anyway, that shot incredible, and just what a sour note this whole thing ends on. Marcus, 10 seconds, take us home.
Well, just, these guys did a lot of work together, a lot of great movies, but this might be the best thing that they did, I think, 'cause it's the most affecting, and it's the most real. And I almost want to thank them for giving us this, because who else would, go to the lengths
but the two Coreys. Birthday boy. We did it. That's right. We just had an incredibly depressing, crushing birthday party episode. That's how we do shit here in one fucking hour.
All right. Oh.
All right, we did it.
That was crazy.
Right. And I might add, Marcus, congratulations.
Yes.
That is an episode that otherwise would not rear its ugly head.
I don't think so.
And so it's a perfect example of a B-Day ep here in the one fucking hour universe.
You got to pull the creative control
well played,
card.
Sir.
You got to pull that creative control card in a way that, like, we're not going to do this. This is my one time to do it. So
yeah,
this is your shot.
Yeah, thank you guys for going. I know it's a 3-hour endeavor, but I think it's highly.
No, thank you. It's your birthday.
It was 3 hours, and then plus the rape of 2 Coreys was another hour and a half.
Right.
So.
There's a lot of there's a lot of bonus material, bonus Corey material to go through. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody jump on watching.
Can you make a bibliography, Marcus? And I'm not even kidding. Or videography,
Further
whatever
reading?
the term might be.
Yeah.
Further reading, like a pamphlet for people with links.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so check the description of this video and see if we've followed through with that or not. And
hours more.
It'll be in there.
I think I got it.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Marcus's birthday app, one fucking season on the 2 Coreys, season 2. Very cool. Very cool. And yeah, I mean, that's in the pantheon of birthday episodes now. So incredible. All right, everybody.
File next to BJ Lang Presents.
Yeah, it fits. It fits. I mean,
sure.
I mean, Mickey Rooney was abused as a child as well.
Right.
Too,
I'm not kidding.
Yeah. So,
go Mickey. It's your birthday.
Yeah. All right, and let's talk about next week, everybody. We're going to kind of get back to our usual business here. Doing a film from, I can't remember what we used to call it, like the 1 fucking hour gulch. Is that what we call it? The gulch period, where we talk about films. We normally talk about films from like 78 to 82 a lot of the times, and we're going to get right in the pocket of our gulch for next week. So
79, fool.
Yeah, 79, fool. This has actually been a film that we've wanted to do. It's been on the short list for a while, but for whatever reason, I've been getting a lot of DMs about it, and I've been seeing comments about it. So I said, fuck it. Let's just, kill 10 birds with one stone, and let's just do it for once and for all. So it actually makes a difference. If you want, if you're loud and obnoxious about what you want us to cover, we might just fucking do it, So
we're listening.
We're listening all ears. So what are we doing from 1979? Our first Paul Schrader film, which is very exciting. I'm very excited about this. We're going to be doing Hardcore from 1979, starring George C. Scott, which I remember my good friend Zach told me was his favorite performance ever in a film, was George C. Scott in Hardcore, because he goes fucking ballistic in this movie, and it's a sight to behold. So
I pity the chair in front of him during the big pivotal scene. He's like pulling it up by its bolts.
Yes.
My daughter. Yeah.
Of course,
but there's a bunch of other stuff going on.
Oh,
and, there's some cool tonal stuff about like the life of Minnesota, right?
Minnesota. Yeah, he's like a Minnesotan, like Lutheran or a Protestant or something.
Into that. It's a wild film. I don't think you could make it now.
No.
It's a Hollywood movie.
This is a peak late 70s, could only exist in that time period. And if you're not familiar with the film, the fucking pitch is George C. Scott, living in Minnesota, finds out that his daughter is running amok in the LA porno underground, and decides to go himself out there to find her. And he basically poses as a pornographer, kind of sleazoid guy, undercover. It's kind of an undercover film.
Big fake mustache,
It's wild.
He's auditioning Big Dick Black or whatever.
It's crazy.
For the male lead.
Yeah, right. So
it's crazy.
It's awesome.
Crazy.
Definitely worth seeing or a rewatch in preparation for next week. So that'll
Season Hubley.
That's right. Yeah. So and that'll be Marcus. That'll be episode 138 next week. So be very excited.
We are
about
138.
That. Yeah, I'd be very excited about that. Stay tuned for that. Everybody. And quick other shout out to the Patreon, of course, patreon.com/onefuckinghour, or you can join the YouTube channel. If you want to check out, highly recommend our Pizza Man episode. It's the only way you can get it. Just $5 a month to sign up and support the show if you like what we're doing here.
I have heard that kids are bootlegging it.
Well, that's
put
a stop
it's
to
on,
that.
It's on LimeWire.
Yeah, LimeWire. Yeah, right.
Like, the Pizza Man episode is on LimeWire.
Shit.
So,
well,
come on, everybody.
Well, we appreciate everyone's support. It's helping us keep the lights on here, keep our employee employed. Shout out Ian. He's been cutting some amazing clips for the show, so we appreciate that.
Help us get a Nell. Guys.
We need a Nell, dude. We need a Nell,
dude. Yes. We need to get a Nell. Yeah.
Nell. We need a Nell. So
what's Nell doing?
Yeah, I know. We should
maybe Nell. Out, Maybe she's available.
Yeah. Nell, if you're listening, we need you.
You're hired.
You're hired. Right. So we better get some Patreon subs for that. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much. And I guess we can't leave everybody without their moment of Zen.
Yeah, baby.
All right. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Only thing I didn't enjoy about the movie, I had a bad habit of keeping my mouth open all the time. So I was like, Mom, so what are you doing, catching flies? I did. I was like, consistently, and that was the one thing I just wished I wouldn't have done as much, because every time I'm on camera, I'm either doing like a smile I used to have, which I've broken somehow, and you just keep my mouth open, catch flies looking like that. And those are the two things from me being picky on myself.
Oh, I'm dead. I'm so dead. They're gonna have to bury me twice. Hey, my name is Eddie. I need your help. You and me are friends, right? You gotta help me. This is Alex's room on the second floor. She's a new girl in town. Says she's a journalist. I think she likes me.
There's someone in my apartment. Stay here and cover me while I check things out.
What are you doing? Get with it. Come on, she's in trouble. Help her out. Go. What's going on? Are you just sitting there? Yeah, I can't tell whose side you're on. You're supposed to be helping the tenants. Hey, now you're making me look bad. Screw up again and you're gone. Come on, get with it, pal. I'm talking to the wrong guy. You're out of here. Bye.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.